welcome to Attempts at Governance episode 172. We have an energetic panel here for you today with maybe a little bit of a short show, but it's going to definitely be a huge one. And we're going to start with the state of the Treasury. Let's take a look over here at Subscan. We are down this week. We're down 453,975 DOT from this time last week, and that's worth 1.8 million US dollars at today's market value. That brings the DOT holdings in the Treasury across Asset Hub, Polkadot Relay Chain, and what's over on the hydration chain right now to 20,768,972 DOT. We're also down in USDC. We're down 1,149,400 USDC, bringing the Treasury to 736,768. And USDT is up this week, 235,197, bringing that stack to 5,348,590 USDT. That's the state of the Treasury. We don't have Funky today. I think he's doing some good work in Utah for the ecosystem. So we're going to throw it right over to Limo for referenda gone by.
The same without Funky.
Ooh.
So we've got 14 refs gone by. I'll try and get through them really quick. The first one is by Giotto on the referendum canceller track, ref 1188. This was rejected, and it was to cancel referendum 1186, which is the referendum on the Fellowship Admin track to change the ambassador program. Then we've got Market Across on the Big Spender track, ref 1146. This was also rejected, and it was for 165,000 USDC for the Polkadot ecosystem PR and media campaign. Then we've got quite a big one. This is a PMEI on the Big Spender track, ref 1141. This was approved, and it's for 1.13 million USDC for growing the music vertical on Polkadot, onboarding Billfold. So congrats to Spencer in Miami and the team there.
Nice.
Then we've got Staking Rewards, ref 1140. This was rejected, and it was for 114,000 USDC for a partnership with Staking Rewards and integration into their app and terminal. Then we've got one that was had a bit of talk on Twitter about it. This is by WAG Media, ref 1130. This was approved, and it's for 451,000 USDC for WAG Media, collective content creation for 52 weeks. And it'd be good to see a lot of people making content on X and stuff, going to WAG Media and getting rewarded for their good work. Then we've got Annoy, ref 1158. This was rejected as well. This was for 60,000 USDT for the Argus Explorer, an open source PVM focused blockchain explorer. And then we've got AAG, ref 1150. This was approved, and it's for 100,000 DOT for implementing a Polkadot native system parachain for data storage. That is phase 2 out of 3 of their plan. Then we've got one that also had a lot of drama on Twitter. This is by Helicon or Kakabi, and I think he's on the show. I think I saw him earlier. This is ref 1149, and this was approved, and it's for 180,000 USDT for Submerge.io, an open source indexer, analysis, KYT, and AML compliance platform. So congrats to Kakabi. Then we've got Mosaic Chain, ref 1148. This was rejected, and this was for 79,000 USDC for an open source substrate indexer in Rust with a decentralized blockchain explorer. If you remember, there was a lot of refs that were fairly similar up at one time. Then we've got 6, ref 1147. This was rejected right at the end, and it was for 390,000 USDT for G6 Milestone 2, which is an enterprise SDK for managed blockchains and Polkadot Citizens integration. I think it got sudden death at the end, which was pretty dramatic. Then we've got Shankar from Edgeware, ref 1165. This was approved, and it's for 20,000 USDT for the development of a Noble/Curves/SR25519 package and audit. I think he was on the show the other week talking about that. Then we've got Evan, ref 1206. This was approved, and it's for 150 DOT for Skulls for making some epic rotating Polkadot emojis on Telegram. A lot of people are using those now, repping the Polkadot ecosystem. Then we've got another tip by Fetty Dot, ref 1198. This was rejected, but it was supposed to be a 500 DOT tip. I think he messed the pre-image up because it was requesting 0 DOT. So we'll see if he comes back with a resubmission there. And finally, we've got SimDot, ref 1194. This was approved, and it's for 250 DOT as compensation for their BD activities. And that is ref gone by.
Thank you very much, Lima. What a lot of ref gone by, and I don't know how many we've actually had submitted since this time last week. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is this? Okay, well, not many. We're gonna get. Thanks very much, Lee. Welcome everybody to the show. What an amazing panel we have today. We have, I think, 4 guys on from the Mandala chain. Hey, Matt, Alex, Michael here too.
Yep.
How are you guys holding up? It must be almost midnight over there.
Yeah,
All good.
I'm on East Coast of Australia at the moment, visiting the family, so it's nearly 2 a.m.
Oh, awesome. Okay, well,
4 p.m. in Bali.
Yeah,
yeah.
it was coffee for dinner tonight, boys, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, let's see how you do here on AAG. We're going to dive right in with your proposal to start today. This is delivery of 4 government use cases to onboard millions onto Polkadot. Ref 1210 requesting 763,000 USDT for the delivery of these 4 milestones, these 4 use cases. Guys, welcome to the show. What did you want to tell us today?
We'll share screen, so hopefully this works and you can see my screen okay.
Yes, sir.
We don't have Funky, so like I was getting anxiety about Funky's timekeeping, so I'm going to keep it to 5 minutes. So yeah, for those that don't know, we are Mandala Chain. So we are trying to connect government, retail, and enterprise apps all in one location. And we do this by allowing both permissioned and permissionless chains to all coexist and to be interoperable with each other. And that's the grand vision. So launching this out of Indonesia specifically, because I mean, we're all based out in Indonesia, but Indonesia is just a massive country. We've talked about this before, the 4th largest population in the world, and expected to be the 4th largest GDP in the next 15 years. And so they're at prime working age right now. It's a big booming population, and the government knows that they are the next sleeping giant, not just of the region, but of the world. And so they sort of anticipating this, created this Indonesia Vision 2045. And now this is their graphic. This is not my graphic, but this has come straight from their legislative paper. And they earmarked all of these future technologies that they wanted to be able to implement to be able to make sure that they were ready for their ascent up the GDP ladder, being AI, Internet of Things, metaverse, quantum computing, and circled blockchain. And so this is incredible that they earmarked that and had the foresight to be able to say that they were willing to adopt. And essentially what they did is they reached out to Baliola, which is Anta's company. He's one of the co-founders. And he runs one of the largest blockchain consultancy companies in Indonesia. And also myself, Republic Repair, that's my company. We're one of the largest blockchain research and media hubs in Indonesia. And we actually put on like a boot camp for government ministers. We had about 80 or 100 of them there, and we sort of ran through them and gave them the blockchain 101. And as a result of that, we were invited to be able to create government applications for them and to sort of negotiate those contracts. Now, Anta and I put our heads together and thought, we believe in the Web3 philosophy. We're not interested in making just these dystopian CBDCs type centralized chains, even though we could have just opened a consultancy, taken fees and done that. But we wanted to be able to create something beautiful for the Web3 ecosystem. And so my company has done something like 800,000 views on Polkadot related content already. So I knew the ecosystem quite well, even though we're a blockchain agnostic platform. I'm the Polkadot guy from the Republic DAO community. And so we based our modeling on Polkadot, that we would have one permissionless decentralized network and then all these private and permission chains that could connect to it. And that's what we're building. So at the moment, I guess some of these use cases, and you can read more about them in the proposal at length, but the first one that we launched with will be ID chain. And .id has something like 100 million different users right now that interact with these .id domains, and they're going to be prompted to be able to spin up a digital identity. And so we can see here, if there's 100 million citizens interacting with one of these domains and we get a 1% adoption rate, well, there's a million users. We get a 10% adoption rate, well, we've got 10 million. And so last I checked, I think the big ETH-L2s had, around 2 million. So we could see that this could be potentially anything. Some of the other major use cases you can read about in the proposal is a network of banks to put transactions and credit scores on chain. West Java, which is the biggest state or province in Indonesia, to do all of their internal HR solutions as part of their ascent to become a smart city. And also the Unbelievable project, which is a collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism to be able to protect the IP and data security. So thank you for the heads up. So why OpenGov? I know this is the question why everyone's got, and I've got 3 reasons why we're here today in OpenGov. And really, this is a very unique scenario. So we're talking about onboarding not just a government, but multiple government industries, multiple government provinces, multiple government ministries. And so we're not like a PBA grad who's spun up a new DEX or has a new game, and we're looking for funding to be able to launch our project and find product use fit and be able to find some users. We already have users. We have big users. And this could be seen by like the Blockchain Summit, which we just hosted last month, which many people did come out for. You know, we had 20-something politicians on chain. We had some of the heads of the biggest telcos in the country on stage. And effectively, there was more people there arguably than there was at Decoded in Brussels. And so we had numbers. And these are not people who have showed up because we're building in Polkadot. These are people who have come because we've built a reputation in the ecosystem, in the community, in the country, and they've come to see what we're doing and what the government is doing. So number 1 reason, a very unique scenario. Number 2, why should Polkadot pay for this? This is a very interesting comment, which we saw a couple of times in the last few days. And so in the Ethereum ecosystem, a lot of Solana people and critics of Ethereum are saying that the ETH L2s are parasitic to the main chain. And the Ethereum rebuttal for this is that L2s are Ethereum. And so we kind of view this in a very similar way. We are Polkadot. We don't know, we obviously can't represent the brand, or we can't actually speak on behalf of Polkadot, but externally Mandala is considered to be Polkadot. And if we were building this on Solana, on just one chain, and we had our own token and all that sort of stuff, it would still make perfect sense for the Solana Foundation or Solana Treasury to help fund the onboarding of a government onto their network. It just so happens that our network is fragmented across multiple different chains, but we consider ourselves to be Polkadot and representing Polkadot and building for Polkadot. And third question, I guess we wanted to sort of talk about why OpenGov is, didn't we raise our own funds, and aren't we doing fundraising? And we are fundraising. That's sort of one of the process, but we're raising funds to build an ecosystem. So we want to build an ecosystem where we can have not just Indonesia, but any government, any entity, any sort of enterprise can all come and participate in a network, in an ecosystem of permissioned and private chains or whatever it might be. And so we wanted to build that. We built out the brand, we built out a mission of the team, and obviously to launch our project, which we are raising funds for. But these particular gem use cases, which we have from government enterprises, these are very desirable. And I'd be lying to say if we didn't have competition. Like, word has gotten out that these governments are willing to come on chain, and we are fighting an absolute bazooka cannon of money from other ecosystems who are trying to cut this off of our ecosystem. And so we do have to compete with treasuries like the size of almost like what the Polkadot treasury actually has. And so because we do consider ourselves Polkadot, and it is such a very unique opportunity, we come to the ecosystem to bring this on chain, bring this into Polkadot, bring all of those users, bring all of the status that comes from having a government build on your chain, and to build all of this tech as well, which we fully commit to helping any team to be able to use and implement, whether they build on Mandala or not. So I know people will have a lot of questions, and so that is the end of my presentation.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael. Nikos, thank you very much for keeping time today. Like I said at the beginning of the show, because we only have 2 presentations today, we'll let it go just a little bit longer to fill some time and get deeper into these proposals. All right, we just heard what Michael had to say. Let's get some questions from the panel. Well, we'll just play it by ear, Nikos. Yes, Tommy.
Hey, so you mentioned you're raising. Can you share a little bit about what your target is and basic things that you are able to share at the moment?
Yeah, we're about to close out some deals at the moment, which we're still just waiting to put some pens on the paper. We have raised funds initially. We did bootstrap this for about 18 months ourselves initially. And we do have a seed round, which we're just closing out now. We're not trying to raise a huge amount of money because we do run a pretty lean operation. And so most of all of that has gone on initial development. Matt, who's our CBDO here, he can probably speak to that a little bit more about official numbers.
Yeah, hi guys. So pre-seed round is closing this month, and we've raised a significant amount of money already, and by the end of the month, we should be raising, over $1 million, and then we'll probably open up another round in about a month, which would be, lead us to TGE probably in Q1. So yeah, we're going to be raising another probably few $1 million between, let's say now or the end of this round and TGE probably in January, February-ish.
Thank you, Tommy. Tommy?
Yeah, maybe a follow-up. Do you expect when working with governments to be able to charge them, or do you have like a business model in mind, or is it still in the figuring out phase?
Now, this is a very complicated one because with every single one of these different use cases and these government entities, we've had to write a white paper specific for their use case. And they know that they don't have to pay for this. Like they've got people knocking on their door, offering them obscene amounts of money to be able to come and build on their chain. But because we do have some gravitas, we've got them, we've got the contracts in place, we've got them cornered, but it's not exactly a conversation that we bring the VC in and sit in their office and say, hey, what's the revenue model for this investor so we can build your application? It doesn't quite work like that.
Good. Thank you very much, Tommy. Max?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the Mandala team. We've obviously been in talks for a long time already, know each other well, met many times, and have been supporting the Mandala team through various different channels. I also really find it interesting whenever we talk to outside investors, right? For example, at Token49 or so, like what are the use cases of Polkadot, right? And then when we bring up Mandala chain and exactly the things that Michael has just been talking about now, it really resonates. It really resonates with investors, right? With people who are just interested in the space and who want to see what Polkadot can deliver. So I think it's an excellent use case what these guys are doing. And I really want to emphasize again what Michael said, because there are of course other ecosystems out there that are trying to go after governments in general and big governments like Indonesia in particular. So this is really like a pretty unique opportunity to get Polkadot there. We're like a very good position there at the moment. And I think from the Polkadot community's perspective, from the DAO's perspective, and from the Treasury's perspective, it's a really good opportunity to jump on, support Mandala team, get that name, in exactly these communities, get ourselves affiliated with that, and help Mandala chain doing all the good work. So that's why we're going to be supporting this proposal and hope that it will pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Anybody else have a question or comment or concern? Jose.
Hello, guys. I love your product. A question. If the Treasury invests in you and just decides to basically, put 800,000 into your pockets to develop, basically into the Indonesian government, is there any conversation of basically getting some of the tokens that Mandala will be issuing into the Treasury back? Because at some point, I will believe you will decentralize even the platform itself, right? So, and this goes to, where the weight is and how, the thing is being updated. So it's like, is there any possibilities of doing that? Or would you consider doing that? Because in that way, will be more tied to your operation, right? As a platform.
Yeah, we hadn't considered really approaching the OpenGov like a VC type of relationship, especially because we don't have a token price right now. And I do think a lot of the play here will be the sheer numbers that come into the ecosystem as a result. Like we do anticipate this is numbers en masse that will come inside the ecosystem. And so these projects are going to get built one way or another. And we obviously ideally want them to be built in the ecosystem as part of Mandala. And so that's sort of the approach that we took at it right now. We didn't think about the token swap and what would be the value of that or anything like that, but rather this is really a play for Polkadot to actually put it up in lights to say that a government has chosen to come to this ecosystem because of this tech stack. And I think about a lot of the marketing spend that we've done in the past. it's to kind of get opportunities like this. And this is a result of 2 years of BD work that had gone on, and then 3 years of business reputation that had happened in the blockchain ecosystem in the country since. And so there is like a large value prop that's coming as a result of just trying to bring it on chain. But yeah, I guess we didn't, short answer is we didn't actually consider it like a VC type sort of relationship. I know that's not really what OpenGov is for.
Cool. Good stuff. Anybody else? We did have a question in DAO that I know you guys are in there, but you're just getting started with answering questions in there. We really appreciate your presence in there. But one of the first questions was about the costs. Somebody was doubting that this would be enough money to pull off building all 4 use cases. What's your answer to that? Are you going to be coming back to the treasury for more to finish this, or is this going to be you're going to be able to do it?
I think this is a Matt or an Alex question.
Yeah, I can chip in a bit here. So in the proposal, we specify that the use cases that we'll be developing with the funds that we get from the treasury is more the incubation phase, right? So we want to develop these products, get them to a certain level that we can show to the government departments that yes, these products work, yes, they achieve what we're trying to achieve. You know, that these products are either solving a problem for them, they're doing something faster, they're doing it more efficient. You know, we're making sure that we're solving a real world problem with these products. So the idea of that the phases for these 4 initial use cases that we'll be developing is get them to a level that we can prove that the technology works and it solves one of their problems, and it's gonna make their lives easier. Once we get to that point, then we'll develop further to scale. So the short answer is that what the numbers that we're asking for isn't for like 4 enterprise level you know, fully fledged use cases, because for sure that, you know, 750K isn't enough to develop all 4 use cases to like an enterprise level that's going to onboard millions. So this is to get it to a certain level, to win the favor of the government, to develop what's needed to be done, to show that the model works and to show that the technology works, and that, you know, Polkadot's the right place for it.
Yeah, just to add to that, you guys, you know, you kind of have a lot of people sitting on the sideline in terms of government departments, ministers, and people talking about, you know, what to choose, how to implement blockchain. They earmark blockchain as critical infrastructure. Now there's a lot of people with eyeballs on us because we have this initial momentum, we have some first mover advantage. And so this is kind of, you know, we're already seeing some knocks on the door after we did Poly Blockchain Summit, after we did proof of concept for ID chain. There's a lot of other people interested to say, hey, how do we get involved? How can we take advantage of this infrastructure? And a lot more that are sitting and waiting and seeing. And so there's a lot of market share to capture just by being first movers in this space. And so getting these to an MVP level, getting these to a proof of concept level is going to create a lot of momentum and an avalanche of other use cases. And we're already seeing that. I mean, we've got a pipeline of use cases that we can develop. These were kind of the low-hanging fruit that we wanted to start with, and kind of as a representation of what we can do.
Okay, thank you guys. Tommy?
Taking together everything that you plan to raise through Polkadot right now and through other venues, what's the runway you anticipate to get in months or years?
Who wants to take it, boys? I'll go for it. 18 months at this stage.
Great. Okay, final call for any questions, comments, or concerns for the Mandala guys. Very unique proposal. Obviously wouldn't
I'll just
mind. Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
So now I'll just add one last point there as well, is that ultimately, like, all of these different use cases from government are self-sufficient. So we don't imagine it's going to be like one of those things that have no revenue model where we just have to keep coming back to keep them funded. That's not the case at all.
Mm-hmm.
What it is that, like, we can't, you know, move quick enough for these guys. And anyone who was in Bali at the blockchain summit saw how gung-ho they are right now.
Yeah.
But they don't know the difference between like a Solana and a Binance Smart Chain and a Polkadot. They just know that they need to implement Polkadot. And so they're very easily swayed by a branding narrative, a really great salesman, and a checkbook. And so we were the first person that they asked because of our reputation already in the country. But we can't lose an opportunity to some semi-centralized ecosystem because they bazooka cannoned money at it. Like, this is just too much of a prized opportunity that we've got right now. And we know through our own research that Polkadot is the best place for this. We just need to make sure that we get it done. And this just speeds up the process and make sure we get there.
Thank you. William?
Yeah, I had a question about the 4 use cases. which ones of them are, I guess, separate blockchains? Maybe they're the, the satellite chains on top of Mandala chain, and which ones of them are smart contracts running, I guess, on Mandala chain?
Nice.
The ID chain definitely is its own chain. That's probably the main wing. This is going to be a semi-centralized sort of, they run the federated node model or something along those lines, where the public mainnet will send out calls to it every single time someone needs to interact so they can control it. Same thing with the West Java, same thing with the network of banks. I think the actual sort of like deal we're doing with the Ministry of Tourism, that one might not actually need to be its own chain, but the other three definitely will be.
Cool. Will, did you have a follow-up?
Yes. I was wondering, what do you really see as the success of the incubation stage? So, for example, I guess right now each of those probably has a LOI or something. Is success of incubation stage a contract? Is it a initial deployment? Does the incubation stage include, I guess, customer data going into this, or is this just a demo for them to look at, and then the propagate stage is when, I guess, usage starts?
Yeah, this was a question we actually got when we first posted that. It made it seem like we were further away than what we actually are. Like, we're imminent, ready to launch like our actual roll up, like our parachain slot that we won at the start of the year. And some of these use cases are already very well developed. There's already contracts in place. There's been years of, like, literally over a year and a half of meetings and explanations and tutorials that have already gone into this. We've already developed the whole proof of concept type sort of stuff with all of them. White papers were written. And so we are quite far down the track already as far as development goes, but this is just, we just need to get it done now and get it out. So like, we anticipated that we would have our actual sort of TGE event happen later this year, but it might even look like it spills over into early Q1. And then we need to go live with some of these use cases very soon after. And so this is not 9 to 12 months out before these things happen. This is like as imminently as possible, because there's already been a lot of work done. And ministers who have been sitting on these meetings and sitting in these boards are like very, very excited, and they've been telling their constituents all about this, and they've been going public with it. And so for us to be able to actually talk about these things specifically as well, we're very far advanced in those negotiations. We've got something like 20 different like MOUs or LOIs in place with different use cases, and that's constantly evolving and rolling too as more come in. We've had other countries now knock on our door too. So conversations are happening constantly, but these are the most developed and advanced sort of use cases that we want to push out. The low-hanging fruit, as Alex said.
Cool.
Yeah, I guess a bit more. At some point, there's many blockchains, right, knocking at the doors of these government agencies. At some point, the LOI turns into an exclusive contract, right, for some period of time. Will that happen? Is that targeted for the incubate stage, or is that in the propagate stage?
That'd be incubate for sure, right? Because the idea with the incubate phase and with each of the use cases, like I'll take the unbelievable use case, for example. Like, we plan on running a pilot inside of Bali, because the beautiful thing about Indonesia, right? We've got 280 million people here. The island of Bali, I think, is roughly 8 million people. So Bali in and of itself is like the perfect place to run like a pilot project. Smaller population, like, less red tape, easy to get around. So, for example, the Unbelievable project, we run a test pilot here as part of the incubation phase, and then as soon as that's successful and we get the green light, then then it's like we have an excuse to turn on the floodgates and fully develop the tech out so that we can move it out to different regions in other parts of Indonesia. Like West Java, that Michael spoke about earlier, that's got 50 million people. So we're very close with the West Java government. So the idea would be like, okay, step one, incubate phase, test pilot project inside of Bali. And then once that, once we get the green light on that, then we move out to West Java and other provinces. And then ideally, slowly put the Mandala flag all over Indonesian archipelago.
All right, guys. Well, thanks very much for coming on the show and answering these questions. We'll watch this ref with great interest. Where are we at today? Let's see. So we just launched 84.6% in favor, but just 1 million DOT in play so far. So a lot of votes to come in and we'll be looking at this every week. You're all welcome back if if you want another late night. But thanks for taking the time to be here today.
Watch every week anyway, so we'll be back.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
appreciate it. Thanks for the time, everyone.
Great. Nice to see you all. All right. We have another presentation. This is a pretty unique one, 185,000 USDT for Motoverse, the vehicle app chain secured by Polkadot. This is by ecosystem agent Wario, who I have noticed has been very active in Kustau, and it was interesting to see him come up with a proposal here. I guess Wario is actually you. Is that right, Mario?
Exactly. Nice to
Well,
meet you.
nice to meet
Actually,
you too.
we already meet in real life in Hong Kong and many other faces that are familiar here. So great to be here.
Welcome to the show, sir. We have your proposal up on the screen right now. 20% in favor right now, but pretty low turnout. So there's this could go either way. What do you want to tell us today?
Sure. Let me share my screen.
Sure. Nikos on the timer. Thank you, Nikos.
Okay, can you see?
Yeah, we can.
Perfect. Well, Motoverse is a vehicle option for the Polkadot ecosystem. This time, I'm here to ask 185K US dollars for the Treasury proposal 1201 because we want to showcase the Polkadot tech to the world. First, starting in Asia, exclusively in Thailand, and then back to my home country, Mexico. What is Motoverse? Well, Motoverse is this vehicle ecosystem with different tools, a second-hand car marketplace at first stage. And second, we are going to be a fintech. We are going to provide loans for vehicle purchases. In the treasury proposal, we have different costs. The main ones are 150. This first is 50K for the fintech foundation. That is costly. We have talked with lawyers in Hong Kong, here Thailand, and here and Mexico. The idea is to create this global foundation infrastructure and also get the permissions to be a fintech. We are going more for the private side, not for the public side. In the private side, I think we think as a team that is easy to get into the market. We already are in contact with many fintechs. Well, not fintechs, traditional finance institution that well, they are trying to be more technological, and we are going to provide those technologies. Also, this proposal has the vehicle tokenizer. This vehicle tokenizer is very important because, well, if you are going to tokenize any real world asset, you have to be certified. You have to be very secure that it's a real representation on chain. So for that, we have to ensure the legal documentation, also the mechanical and the aesthetic aspect of the vehicle. And on the another cost is the 70K USD. This is a smart legal contracts palette that we are planning to build an open source. There is no smart legal contract technology on the Polkadot ecosystem. I think that's very important because, well, if we want to create this real world transaction with blockchain, that is this less trust, more true technology, well, we also have to deal with the legal side. No? So what is this? Are scroll contracts with legal terms that are assimilated on the code. So in that way, these contracts can be read by machines and can be read by humans. You know? So we are mixing like three different areas of education. That is the legal side, the technical computer science side, and also the legal design. What is legal design? Well, this legal design is to make these contracts not just readable by lawyers, also readable by any person, no? With simple terms, maybe some image, to make it easy. So at the beginning, we're gonna start here in Asia. The second-hand car market is a big market, no? Around the world, in Asia, in Mexico, most of the countries even have more cars than people. That's why we choose this use case to tokenize into the on-chain and create this full experience. And well, if we are going to tokenize these uh, real assets, at the same time, it's going to be liquid for the Polkadot ecosystem. We are planning to use Polkadot and Kusama coins, also our own coin, but we are more focused on the ecosystem coins. Because, as I said before, we are here for Polkadot. Well, Mexico, Thailand, our first market. Why Thailand? Well, I have been traveling for the last year, living here in Thailand, here in Asia, and I have seen that the second-hand car market is also a, a big market in the area, and also the adoption of the blockchain. The adoption of the blockchain infrastructure here in Asia is, I think, at the moment, the biggest one. No? In Mexico, we have a lot of adoption, but well, in Asia, there is like this trending that a lot of foreigners come, a lot of crypto people. So yeah, Asia at the moment is Asia. In the future, we're moving also to America. The testing also, this proposal also provides like testing for Mexico. So in that way, we can test both markets. Well, the partners that I speak before that are in Mexico, I used to work for finance institutions. So these finance institutions, well, most of them are in Mexico. Uh, why now? Well, I think we already have like the base grounds for the technology. We just need to make this use case and maybe, well, then expand to our use case. We want to focus just on vehicles because, well, as I said before, the vehicles are easy to tokenize. There are not like many regular compliance restrictions because, well, we're talking about private contracts. So in that way, it's a little bit easy for us to start tokenizing. And in the future, when the technology and the adoptions matures more, well, we can jump into another use case. Well, the solution that we have, well, this is like some snapshots. We built an MVP and a proof of concept for the last hackathon of One Block Plus. We get the third place. Um, yeah, it's very interesting what we're doing there, with Tansy and with all the substrate stuff. Uh, why blockchain in the second-hand car market? Well, I think we think the best way to avoid scams, the best way to avoid frauds in the second-hand car market that, well, has a lot. You can go to a centralized marketplace and you can see, I don't know, on Facebook that most of the time the same car is posted in different locations. Most of the time they have like some hidden the problems of the car that they don't show in the marketplace. And also centralized marketplace like Kavak, one of our biggest competitors in America. Actually, Kavak is a unicorn. Well, they take advantage of the hardworking people, no? People that work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, that work to save to purchase a vehicle, and at the end, well, they take advantage of them. So we are using these blockchain infrastructure and with these legal smart contracts to create safer transactions for the community. Because, well, we are building this product and protocol for the ecosystem. We want to empower the community. So in that way, we are again, yes, we're going to be a little centralized, but we want to be more decentralized in the future, onboarding different vehicles service providers like finance institutions, car lots, lawyers. So in that way, all these people or these companies can provide decentralized service to the community. Well, who we are? Luke is with me. Luke is here in the call. He's PBA graduated on the devs track, and me on the founders track. We are proudly PBA alumni. So we are here to showcase motorverse, and if you have any questions, please ask it.
Okay, all right. PBA graduates with a business in mind here. This is quite an interesting idea, but I think we're gonna have some questions here. Batman.
My main question is why come to the treasury with this? Why should the treasury be the one to fund this? Like, have you tried looking at any private investments or venture capital for this?
Yes. Actually, we are in talk with private investors in Hong Kong, in Mexico. But the problem is maybe that they want us to be aligned with the Polkadot ecosystem. No, when they have like the money and the power of decision, they can ask us to go to different blockchain, and we don't want that because like I said, we are proudly TBA alumni, and we are very uh, involved in the Polkadot ecosystem. So when you ask for a VC that is focused on Polkadot, there are not many. So when if we have like this community support, it's gonna be easy for us.
Okay.
Yes, we are in talks.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm gonna throw it to other questions, but just real quick, I had a quick question, quick answer. Where are you building this on the stack? You're building like a parachain, or where are you building this?
At the moment, we are building with Tansy.
Oh,
We
Tansy.
are
Okay.
yes.
Okay,
At
that's
the
good.
moment, we are building with Tansy. We are using like different ecosystem tools.
Okay. No,
Also,
that's good. That's all I needed. Limo.
I think Nicholas was before me, maybe.
Sorry, buddy. Nick. Muted, mate.
Thank you, Limo.
All right.
NJ, just to follow up a bit on Batman's question, because I also have sort of that same sort of thread I'd like to pull. At what stage are you with all these things? Because this seems like a really interesting sort of business model where, yes, blockchain is a component of it, but to me, the critical things is where are you here with all of these different sort of car dealerships and sort of agreements to do that? Where are you with the licenses on different, whether that's on the DeFi side or legal documents? Because for me, that seems to be more of the bottleneck or the thing that you need to solve rather than I don't see why would an investor here would be stuck up on whether you're using Polkadot or something else, when really sort of the interest here in the business model should be if you can get the right partnerships and you can get sort of the right interest in this marketplace.
Yes. Well, we are at the moment we build like a mini proof of concept. Actually, in the treasury proposals come to the foundation that, like as you say, is one of the most important things to be like regulated with this fintech stuff because well, that fintech regulations are not cheap. So where are we? We just build a product that we want to start showcasing to the world. We want to start onboarding companies and start selling cars. We have like a proper revenue model. This revenue model allows us to not come back again to the treasury for another investment proposal. Like I said at the beginning, it's just a seed investment to be aligned with the Polkadot community. And well, we are going to tokenize vehicles with Polkadot coins. No? So in that way, it's important for us, well, to be aligned with them, with you, with the community.
Okay, Limo.
Hey, so I guess I have one comment and one question. So $50,000 or like 27% of this money is for setting up the foundation and legal consulting. Seems like quite a lot. And the question is, in the context, it says that DOT will be one of the accepted currencies for payment. So what other currencies will you accept? And do you plan on launching your own token? Yeah.
Yes, we are planning to use Polkadot, we're planning to use Kusama, and we have MTOB, that is our coin, but that's going to be more focused on governance.
You're going to
So
have your
why?
own token.
So if you have your own token, why don't you do like an ICO or raise VC money to fund this?
Yes, we have our own coin, almost on test phase, because, well, at the moment, and the testing that we did are with Tansy, no? So, yes, they are still in testnet, so that's why. Also, well, Luke is here. We are gonna start using like this for this was for the proof of concept, no? So now that if we get the funds, we're gonna start using like the new tech stuff, the Polkadot, this core time Polkadot 2.0, no? Apps, not chains.
Okay, I think we're getting almost far enough into this, but let's get quick questions and answers from Kukavi and Jose, and then we'll move on.
Hello, Mario. Thanks for the presentation. I think it's a very interesting field, but I have one question. Is there a legal framework for vehicle tokenization?
Yes. Well, there are like testing frameworks. It's not like exact framework, but the sandbox that we have in Thailand and we have in Mexico allow us to tokenize the vehicle on cryptocurrency. So the answer is, in general, is yes. No, you can use a lot to be more flexible and try to put it in. But at the end, if we start tokenizing a lot of vehicles, the governments and the regulatory institutions are going to start asking questions. And in that way, it's better to be like with the fintech regulations, not just like LLC. But yes, there are private laws that allow us to do that.
Okay, Jose.
So you mentioned development and everything else, but you didn't mention marketing. Is that are you the marketing? It comes in terms of partnering with resellers of used vehicles. What is the plan in that front?
The marketing, the marketing, we are gonna do it by ourselves, and also the business development. The idea is to start like a BC model, and then change to a wide level solution that is gonna be more to B2B. But in the marketing and all that is everything is gonna be by us. And also, well, I know that there are many Polkadot initiatives, so why not take advantage of it?
Yeah, I think the marketing bill will be very big because your market is so big, right? So it depends if you wanna, market the product to yourself.
It is a big market. We're talking about billions of dollars, no?
Yeah, but
the
that's
idea,
what I mean.
the first market that we're trying to get is like tokenize 1,000 vehicles. That's the first goal.
Okay. All right. Huh. Okay. Well, thanks very much, Mario, for coming on the show and sharing your idea here. If it doesn't work out with the Treasury, there may be some other avenues. It's nice to hear that you're already on Tansy, working with that crew. You might also want to reach out with Polkaport if you're looking at going into the Hong Kong market. Polkaport might be an interesting partner. But yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
No, thank you to you.
Cool.
For your time.
Thank you. Okay. Let's keep it rolling here. We have a small presentation. William, you're putting up a tip for. Hold on, I have to pull it up here because it's late submission. I gotta find it here. William, you want to put up a tip for Lily for some work she did. This is a 500 dot tip. I think it was for aggregating some data having to do with bounties. And you wanted to speak about it real quick. Right now it's 37.6% in favor and about a third of the way through the decision period. What did you want to share with us?
Yeah, I wanted to share with you my perspective on this tip,
Okay.
and why I put it up. I actually didn't know Lily before. I had only seen her kind of in the forum and then saw the work that she put forward here. So she basically did a lot of research on bounties and, in terms of what are the bounties, who are the curators, how do you actually get to the information on the bounty? Like if it's the event bounty, where's the link to submit a new thing for the event. Put in a submission so that your event can be considered for funding. And then a Dune dashboard to track the spending of all bounties. You can look in the forum. She goes through like her thought process, gets feedback from the community, and you can see how it iterates. Yeah, I thought this was a pretty meaningful piece of work. It's something that actually I've also done in the past few months. I've gone through the bounty system to try to figure it out. It's actually quite opaque from the outside, like to figure out, how do you access the bounties? How are the decisions made? Where do you submit to things? And so it just came from a personal experience of how much work it took me to understand all of this. And so I recognized that, this was something meaningful to me, right? So there's a few things that I want to say about it. The first thing is I didn't put up this tip to reward her for quote unquote making a PDF, nor did I put up this tip to like reward her for making a Dune dashboard, right? Like those are kind of the outputs of this. But actually, what I see in this activity and what I see in this result is actually, I would like to reward the entrepreneurial spirit that I see here, right? Somebody new coming into Polkadot, kind of braving the wilds, understanding, like trying to like make sense of Substrate and Polkadot and how it's organized. And not only doing that, but also thinking about how would a user need to use this information, right? So another new person coming into this ecosystem, can this help them? And so that's really why I put up this tip. It's really to encourage that kind of behavior, right? For us to be successful as an ecosystem, we need to welcome in new people. We need them to see problems, to see opportunities to improve, and to do the really hard work to do that. And she spent of her own, admission, 70 hours doing this. I can definitely believe that. It doesn't, that is starting out as a beginner. And so, yeah, obviously an experienced person, even myself, now that I've been through that, could do it quicker, let's say. But I think this is what we need to encourage to grow as a DAO, for new people to come in, to take in hard things, to come up with a solution that's not too technical, right? But it's also, for new people. And I think like in terms of the ROI of the tip, because we also have to ask, right? Is this going to bring in more value than what the amount is? For me, the answer is definitely yes. And that is because it helps other new people come into the ecosystem, understand bounties, understand where to go, to find them, to apply to them, and to just level up. So the amount of time it saves for new people coming into the ecosystem, I think, is well worth it for this. And it will continue to evolve going forward. So even yesterday, I told Lily of like a few parts of the data that were messed up, and she fixed them right away. Yeah, she mentioned she will keep maintaining this, keep updating it. So yeah, please, anybody come in and.
How do you expect new people coming into the ecosystem to find this work?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think first, you have to find this, and then you can more easily find the other things. So I think there's a few answers there. One, it can be a thing that ecosystem agents spread, right? When somebody asks a question, this can be pointed to. it can be linked from other places. It's already linked in the forum. And so, yeah, I think that's a basic answer. But for anybody having to get that information without being pointed to this, it would take much longer.
Okay, what do we have, Tommy?
For me, it's an absolutely like resounding yes. I just voted aye. You have to understand what happens in the brain of a person when you get a tip. Like one of the first tips I got in Polkadot in Kusama was a tip of roughly that size, and it absolutely short-circuited my brain. Like I was bound to Polkadot from there. I was thinking like I can actually do something useful for people, and I can get money for that, and I can get appreciation for it, right? So, and it's not even, I find them improper because this is something that binds you emotionally to the ecosystem, and it teaches you that providing value is the right path to go in Polkadot. So it's directionally right, and like Lily has been personally reaching out because I was like also doing a little bit work on bounties. So she has been sending a message, showed me her Dune dashboard, asked for feedback and so on. So I think this is absolutely the right direction, and we need more people like that and show them that it's the right path.
Okay, great, James.
I just wanted to second it. I have already commented on it, and I am someone that is not new to the eco, but I am new to Miami, and I think everyone's aware of all of the different initiatives I have going on here. It really helped me personally because the spectrum of activities I'm focused on fall into multiple bounties, and I was struggling personally with figuring all that out, and her efforts really helped me as someone in the ecosystem. Broader than that or higher than that, I just think I commented on the last AAG, I really support the tip culture overall, and I think this is an excellent example of it. Thanks.
All right, Jose.
Yeah, a good example of really, keeping people in the ecosystem. People like these that ask for a DOT has, to be paid in DOT. They are not selling. I mean, they are working in the ecosystem. They believe on it, right? So this is what we need. This is a astounding yes.
Okay, and Sean.
Yeah, I also want to voice yes on this. Now, I think that the comment here, which is that it's not really about the fact that Lily deserves a tip or not. I think we all agree that she deserves a tip. It's like maybe about the amount. I think some things to consider here is one, we probably as a community should like come to consensus about like what tips should look like and what kind of stuff. I think we as a group can do better at that. Right now we have none of that, so it's any number is a valid number. Second, I want people to realize that like the onboarding curve to creating your first output is huge, right? Like it's not like Lily said, "Oh, I'm gonna make a presentation," and then spent 70 hours and did it. It's like probably she spent like whatever many hours like learning about Polkadot, figuring out the space, knowing who even talk to, know what's needed, figuring all that stuff, and then finally creating output, right? So that first output, while someone might say, okay, well, making this presentation shouldn't have taken that long, it's not worth this much. It's like there is a lot more to be said to get to that point, especially in our ecosystem. And I think especially because, we want to, I think like what Tom was saying, encourage that first tip. I think the first tip is okay to be spent a little bit big. Get someone to show like, hey, we see you're doing good work. We see you're doing the right path. We want to invest into you. Would I expect tips of this size for this amount of work in the future? Probably not. But I do think that first tip is something that we should encourage and be a little bit, what's it called? Like, fabulous on. But I do think overall we need to have a better tipping culture, a better like idea of what tips should look like. Yeah, generous is the right word. Fabulous is also what I was thinking in my head. Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for bringing that discussion up, Will. Before we go on, we have one more kind of presentation pitch coming up. But Sean, I wanted to ask you real quick because we wanted to talk about it last week, but then you had to run, so then we missed you on the conversation there. But this is having to do with that car presentation we just saw, and
okay, yep.
We were talking about how sometimes we see proposals like wander into the Treasury from the Web3 Foundation, and sometimes they're not totally aligned with kind of what we're doing here. The other question is though, we've seen several times like a PBA graduates wander into the Treasury, sometimes with a big ask, sometimes fairly out of alignment with kind of the norms of the Treasury. What's going on there? Are PBA graduates being told they should come to the Treasury to fund their idea, or why does that happen? Do you have any insight?
Yeah. Yeah, I can give some high level insight. One, I think there's a failure at the Web3 Foundation on this aspect. I think that they are not being honest enough to people who are coming in. Like maybe they have a no and they want to say, oh, you know, we don't want to push people out of the ecosystem, so we'll just push them to the treasury, which I think is not helpful. Similarly, I think what the foundation pushes people over to treasury and doesn't actually comment on like, do they actually do any background research? Do they like it? Do they actually want the treasury support or not? So I think what the foundation has a big, you know, they need to grow up a little bit here and figure out, you know, how to join the ecosystem.
Oh, okay.
But beyond that, with the academy people,
Yeah.
I will be honest that I think the academy didn't really talk about this topic until Singapore. So that was the last one, right? And so, you know, the exact avenues for fundings like that stuff wasn't really focused on because we were more of a technical thing, which was a miss. Obviously, we want these people to go out and actually be builders. But you have to remember the original academy was more designed around onboarding developers into the existing parachain teams. That was actually the main goal. We had people at the end of the academy from every parachain team come and do recruitment right there. Now the landscape is more like we need different teams popping up and existing. So that kind of material didn't come out until the last academy. That being said, I think the perspective to really have for these students or anyone coming to Treasury is that they want to build.
Yeah.
They probably like Polkadot. They probably want to build in Polkadot, but it's just like, you know, sometimes it's just hard to find funding. And my guess is, you know, these people who come to Treasury, they probably tried somewhere else, and they're just trying Treasury as just another position. Like, right, they're looking for somewhere to say yes.
Yeah.
And I think the truth is we just need to say no. Like, we need to. I think that you know, the whole thing about startup mentality and building these kinds and capitalism and all that kind of stuff is that you need to be able to take risk, you know, put your money where your mouth is, like convince people that your thing is actually valuable, and prove value to the ecosystem. I think that they're looking for an easier answer, and if we give them the handout, we won't actually let them grow, right? It's almost like being like a tough parent, right? Like, I can imagine that in the future, if a team is successful and they're building really high quality public tools that are providing value to everyone in Polkadot, they can get funding. But I don't think Polkadot Treasury is the place where you come to get proved that you are valuable. You need to do that on your own. So
yeah. And generally we see kind of a slower ramp into the Treasury. You know, we see like, you know, small tips or something like that. We kind of build a relationship. So these, when they come in, you know, with a big one, it's kind of painful. But you're probably right about how we deal with that.
Again, if the proposal here was for $183,000, is that correct? I think that was the number.
Something like that, yeah.
Like, the question I would have is like, what can you show us for $10,000, right? What can you do? Can you do a marketing campaign? Can you make a high quality prototype? Can you do like a UI demo or anything like that, right? That's the way to start here. There's no way you go to someone, shake their hand, nice to meet you, can have $183,000. It's like, it's nonsense.
Okay, all right. Okay, thanks. I just wanted to check on that. Thank you very much. Now, Shankar, you wanted to bring in somebody to discuss. We don't have a discussion post or anything like this, but we have an idea we wanted to present on the show. We don't usually do this, but I understand the special circumstances. So why don't you introduce your friend and let us know what's up?
Sure. And especially, huge thank you for allocating the time and on the last moment. And we actually shared about this idea almost a week back, and Lorena actually followed up on that. So we recently came across we recently came across the Studio 54, who secured basically the rights to create the fan experience for the Argentino Junior Football Club, and that too for 2 years. So we found their proposition is like quite unique compared to traditional sponsorships, because they are basically looking for on-chain activations, which are basically solving or have a potential to solve the user acquisition problem that we kind of have by a significant margin in this whole process. So today we have Diego Perez, the co-founder of Studio 54, who basically rescheduled his flight to just be here and to introduce the collaboration potential. So let's hear from him directly about this proposition.
Hey, Diego.
Thank you for the kind words, Shankar. It's nice to meet you, Jay, guys, all the crew. Happy to be here. It's a very interesting dynamic that's going on here. Many interesting projects as well. And happy to share with all y'all guys. Right now, we're talking about bringing fan engagement into the blockchain, right? So what Legacy does is basically a white label fan engagement platform that lets several dApps run through our protocol and have access to several IPs, several official sports IPs, through gaming, through fan ID, through PFPs, everything involving official licensing of the sports teams. And it's more of a white label solution for them instead of a third party product, right? Because they get to leverage their brand and they get to leverage their socials and they get to use their community instead of me coming in as a third party product and trying to build my own community and trying to get hype out of that. What we do is we piggyback out of these brands that are 100 years old, right? And the terrible fandom, great engagement, and we work towards that, and we work towards creating new revenue streams for these clubs, right? Because we figure, like in most cases, the revenue stream for sports teams, I mean, they're kind of still right. They only have like three sources, maybe tickets, players, what they get out of players transfers and merch. So like right now we're bringing the digital part out of it and the digital assets out of it, and we think it's a good opportunity for them. I do have a presentation that I want to share. Can you guys give me the access to share?
You should have it.
Do I have it? Hold on.
So what's going on here? Are you going to be coming to the Treasury to ask for some funding?
Yes. We're looking for a grant to secure this team that we just signed a 2-year deal on.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most traditional teams in Argentina. I'll get to it right now. Hold on.
And where on Polkadot are you going to be building it on Moonbeam, or you're going to launch your own chain, or?
We're going to do it on Asset Hub. We're talking with Shankar about doing it on Asset Hub.
Oh.
Right. We've done this in the past before. We've already signed with 3 teams in Latin America. One in Paraguay, one in Argentina, another one in Peru. The first team that we launched was back in 2022. We sold about 10,000 assets there. More than 1,500 owners. Average price about $73 per asset, and did about 200K in volume traded. Right, that was one of our best use cases. We leveraged that by doing the fantasy game, right? Because what we do with them, basically first is we create a fantasy game for them, and this fantasy game lets you redeem cards through a premium model and trade them on a secondary market, right? These cards, they are basically the cards are basically, they're like when you say like when you, it's performance based, right? So it's weekly performance based. You get prices per week. All the prices are distributed by the club, right? It's part of the deal that we do with the club. That they give us tickets, they give us merch, they give us meet and greet with the players, right? And all these points are distributed on chain, right? Whenever you have an account with us, these points are inside of your account, and you get to redeem those points for these IRL rewards. So it's all based on IRL rewards, and it's loyalty based. We want to keep the users engaged. You want to give them a reason for them to come each week, give them a reason to keep playing, right? So we keep them engaged as part of the deal that we did with Argentinos Junior per se, right? That deal involved us getting a certain amount of merch, a certain amount of tickets, a certain amount of activations with the players, right? For us to allocate our community there and get them inside there and keep playing the game. Okay. And this is through a period of time. Normally we get them on a 2-year deal, and it's a rinse and repeat model for us, right? It's our model. What we do with the fantasy is very customizable.
So
they have their own domain.
Let me just jump in here, because I think we're kind of understanding what your product is.
Activations are
Diego.
They're shit.
Diego. So I think we're kind of understanding the
Yeah.
product here, but you're
Yep.
proposing that you're going to come to the treasury and you're going to ask the treasury. So this whole DAO for funds, what's in it for Polkadot for the Polkadot holders? Like why should Polkadot fund this? Why isn't the team you did the deal with funding it themselves?
Because there's a problem with the teams, right? They're looking for new revenue streams, right? They're looking for
So what's
new
in it for
ways to make
Polkadot
money.
though? Why don't you
Most
just
of
like
the teams
go from there?
User base. We're going to bring 200,000 digital fans into the clubs, right? Because there are two ways of onboarding people in sports clubs, right? The traditional membership, right, and the digital memberships, right? So we're going to bring the digital fan base, the fandom of that club inside of the Polkadot ecosystem, right? That's in it for Polkadot. User base, user transactions, wallets, user engagement every week, weekly, secondary market volume. Football, yes, soccer is the most popular sport in the world. So there's a lot of engagement behind it. Fans, they're very passionate. They do a lot of emotional buys. They do a lot of purchases when the club is doing good, right? So it's more of a volume play for Polkadot because they're going to be able to integrate and tap into one of the most popular sports in the world with a seamless play. Instead of getting a Web3 audience, you're going to get a Web2 audience, right? Which is much larger. And the beautiful part about this is like the users, they don't even know it's Web3. They're just buying collectibles. They're buying a game that's related to the brand that they love, and they're loyal to that, right? And it's a much bigger ecosystem than per se the traditional Web3 ecosystem.
Okay.
Right? I think Batman raised his hand.
Yeah, hold on, just real quick. Any idea what the cost, what the ask is going to be for something like this? Do you have any idea of that so far?
Yeah, we're gonna get to that for sure. The proposal that we did, right? It's obviously having the official IP of Argentinos Junior inside of Polkadot. The interesting part about the IP of Argentinos Junior is you're gonna be able to leverage the IP of Diego Maradona, which is one of the most legendary football figures of pretty much all time. Maradona started his career in Argentinos Junior, so that was his rookie year. So the fact that you're going to be able to have Maradona's rookie card inside of Polkadot, it's a pretty big deal. You know, I mean, you're catering to millions of fans all over the world that they're going to be interested in just purchasing that piece of sports memorabilia. And that particular asset is going to be running inside of the asset hub too, right? So back, OJ, you want to ask me something?
Okay, so it looks like 200,000 upfront plus 200,000 in milestone bonuses to launch this marketplace and app by the end of December. And okay, and then the deals. Okay, I see. So this is actually like a sports sponsorship, but instead of paying them, we're going to give them an app. Is basically
It's a
the
partnership.
idea. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a partnership
gotcha. Okay,
between us on a 2-year deal.
Yeah, gotcha. Batman, what's your question, bro?
Yes, a couple of questions. Number one, if it is a sponsorship, I understand it's not a sponsorship. We're building them an app, but will there be marketing involved? Like, will there be some kind of co-branding or marketing around Polkadot? That's one question. The other question is, you say that this will be on Asset Hub. So I'm just wondering if there's, because you said that this will be built on Asset Hub, but the app would cater mainly to Web2 users, which they would not even need to know that they're interacting with a Web3 app. So that's on one hand, that's great. On the other hand, that makes me wonder, like, how does it actually accrue value back to Polkadot? Because part of the allure of having so many users using Polkadot is the fact that the rest of the ecosystem can leverage those users for their own applications. For example, if you're doing this on Asset Hub and we can use those assets on HydraDX, right? That would be great. It would be almost like provided that we have faith that you can actually deliver on this. That would be an instant either, right? But right now it's just a little bit confusing there for me. So maybe you could help me understand that. Thank you.
connection was a bit stale. Could you rephrase your question? Because I lost you there in like the middle of the question, right? So the first question was about community, or what are you getting for marketing? I can address
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, the second question was about the fact that you're pitching this app to a Web2 audience, which probably wouldn't know that this app sort of even is related to Web3. And part of the allure of having such a big audience is the fact that we'll be able to use those users in the rest of the ecosystem, right? So how does that, how does having all of these users on your app benefit the ecosystem as a whole?
Because they're all going to have a wallet on Polkadot. When you register and when you create an account with us, we give them a wallet seamlessly, right? Through email and two-factor authentication. And they're all going to be transacting inside of the Polkadot ecosystem. We've done this with several chains. We've done this with Polygon. We've done this with Solana. We've done this with ETH, right? So with the legacy protocol, what's interesting about it is we give you the IP, and then you're able to deploy the assets of that meaningful IP, right? And this means several transactions, thousands of transactions a week, recurrent transactions, right? Just not one stale one each month or 2 months, right? This is recurrent transactions happening every week. So what's in it for you guys? I guess it's traffic, it's user base, it's onboarding more people from Web 2 to Web 3 inside of your ecosystem. We've done it several times with several chains. So we've been down this road in the past before, and it's user base, it's transaction volume. That's what we're looking for here. And when it comes to your question about the marketing, right? When we actually just signed this deal a couple of days ago, right? So we give them deliverables, right? When we sign a deal with the clubs, what we get is a posting schedule from their official accounts, right? So if we were to sign a deal with Polkadot, for instance, right, they would announce partnership with Polkadot and the club through their Twitter accounts, through every major social media account, even Instagram, in some cases TikTok, like whatever you want to call it. And there's a posting schedule that they have to adhere to, which we go and we do all the job for that. That's what we do at Legacy. And after that, there's also stadium banners that the club will provide with this deal in particular, right? So say that we're to do the fantasy game, right, on Polkadot. So you would do the argentinos.com/fantasy powered by Polkadot inside of the stadium, and that will be live broadcast on TV. So they do a lot of IRL activations. There's Fantasy Fest, right, that we've done in the past that you would organize between that community before each game, right? And you would do giveaways, airdrops, everything, and you would leverage the fact that everybody's going to the stadium. And there's also the social media posts that they have to adhere to those deliverables as part of the contract.
All right. Okay, let's get a question from Sean.
Just a comment. I was just going to say that I recommend, if you're coming to the Treasury, that because you have a history of like having done this with previous teams and done this before, bringing those metrics up front and forward is going to be the best pathway forward, right? It's going to be show us what you've done before, show us that, you said your first one was in 2022, that 1 year or 2 years later, that those 50,000 users are still engaged in those networks that you built on. And
They are. And we signed with 3 more clubs. And we're with 4 more partners too.
So bring those metrics in verifiable ways, and I think that you'll get the appropriate responses.
Yeah.
So of course, yeah. Let's talk about it with Sanford. Yep.
All right. So Diego, I think the next step is to actually put this on chain or start a discussion. Hopefully Shankar can help you with that. But as Sean says, let's lead with the proof of work and make sure it's all verifiable and that we can see it. Make sure you tell us how awesome the team is. Just show off how good you are. How this is definitely going to be a home run, and then super clear proposal from there. Nice and consumable, something that everybody is gonna want to read. And then once it's actually in a discussion or once it's on chain, I think we can have a better idea of how the community is going to take it.
That sounds good. That sounds good, Dave. That's the plan.
Sweet.
Appreciate you.
Nice. Thank
Yeah.
you very much for coming on and introducing this idea.
Yep. Anytime. Happy to do it.
Okay. Wow. What an interesting show. You know, the Mandela guys really set the tone here with under $800,000 for millions of people on chain, and it's been an interesting role since then. But that's all the presentations we have for today. We have a few interesting things that we want to take a look at here. First of all, Oliver from the Fellowship has proposed to put in the new logic for the inflation. That was the inflation reduction that was voted on in 1139. I guess he needs some Fellowship members to approve it to make it go faster. Sean, have you taken a look at this, or is it in your wheelhouse, or what?
Oh yeah, actually I gave it an approve already.
You did?
The Oliver's thing. I recommended that we just change the number to something more round. I think he picked exactly the, to the decimal issuance on the time of the vote. And I'm like, okay, if we just pick 15 times 10 to the 8, all the divisions will be nicer. All of the, yearly things will be nice. It just simplifies it to me. But yeah, other than that, I gave it an approve. The logic is correct. It's very simple, actually.
Okay, very, very nice. And so that's coming down the line. That will be, I guess we'll talk about it in open dev next week, but that'll be rolling in the next runtime upgrade, I guess, potentially. We don't know. Okay, Tommy, let's make sure we grill them on that. Update to the head ambassador situation. We do have a bunch of head ambassadors on the call, so we've had some interesting developments. First, we had 6 2 days ago. 6 resigned. Now he's not officially out of the collective on chain, but I guess this is like a social resignation. He's declined from the head ambassador program. That was quickly followed by Mario Schreipen. Where are you? Yes. Okay, never mind. He also resigned as a head ambassador. Whose mic is hot there?
Diego's mic is still on.
Diego's.
Oh, Mike, we're gonna get you muted there. All good, buddy. And then just checking out what the head ambassador situation looks like right now. So Don Diego's proposal to chop the head ambassadors in half and start this 100-day plan, this is still up and currently enjoying 18.7% approval. And the proposal to take Don Diego out of the head ambassador program, that is also still up with almost 82% in favor. We have the proposal to remove all 20 head ambassadors and the collective itself, nearly 100% in favor. And then the proposal to just remove the ambassadors but keep the collective is at 82%. Then we have this proposal to fund the program, which doesn't have a decision deposit yet. This is at 1% in favor. And then Giotto has just come in with a suggestion to cancel the ref that wants to destroy the program completely. Oh, and Abdelby has come and submitted a spend proposal for himself for his work done, 15,000 USDT for his work done in the unpaid ambassador program. This is a brand new proposal, but enjoying 0.5% approval right now. Sean, what do you make of this? What do you make of this tangled web?
Well, yeah, just as a comment, I think this is, I don't know how often this kind of stuff happens, but it would be great to have a way to be able to, when you're on one of these proposals, see all of the ones that are related to it, right? Like, you unmasking that web, I don't think I would find it myself. So just knowing how all these things are kind of all connected to the same idea would be a cool way to like tag a proposal or whatever, and see what's going on. But that being said, I mean, yeah.
Go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say, I think all these options are kind of whatever. Because if the goal is to reevaluate, rethink about the program, it doesn't really matter who's on chain officially in this program. If you're participating in the discussions, you're part of the head ambassador program right now. If you are, if you get kicked out or the whole program gets removed, I mean, if the program's going to change anyway, it doesn't matter, right? Like nothing about what's happening on chain matters because right now nothing on chain is actually like that valid. It's not that useful. So I think any of these things can pass, and I think this is just all fun.
Yeah, it's interesting. Let's hear from some of the head ambassadors. And Andrea, it was said last week that perhaps you would remove this proposal, this controversial proposal. It's still up. What's going on with that?
I didn't say that for sure.
Somebody spoke on your behalf and said it actually. So what's
we may have talked about that. The fact that if the group was going in the right direction, that maybe we will remove 1186. But actually, what happened is even more interesting. That the basically the group aligned to do a new route ref and to take into account the experience we got in the last 3 months trying to do the program.
Yeah.
And we are heading towards a whole new program. So I like Sean said, I don't think that any of this ref actually matters. We gain a lot of experience and feedback from that. And I guess that what's being cooked right now will be really interesting. And really it's taking a great road for me, a great path. Way more about empowering communities than empowering people. So I guess it will be a win for everyone. And it will be a program that is more global, I guess, I hope. So I'm a bit sorry about the mess in the ref, but I guess it was needed. And I think that all the discussion and the energy that came out of this was really great. So I'm quite happy that we did that. I didn't do that on my own. Obviously, everyone is presenting that as Don Diego Sanchez ref, but we were 10 behind it. And yeah, in the end, I think that the conclusion from all of that will be good for Pogov, for the community. So I'm just asking the community one more week, maybe, for us to work on something on the new ref, and we'll be happy to present it.
Well, 1 week is a big ask for you, sir. It looks like you could be out of the program in 2 days,
Yeah.
2.5 days. Let's see, we're going to enter confirmation period in 2 days, 13 hours here, and only a 3-hour confirmation period for fellowship admin.
Yeah, I may be banned from the blockchain.
And banned from the blockchain, which we will enforce with violence. We'll have to use violence.
No, like I said, we'll see how the ref goes, but probably that's the one that will pass will be 1195. So at least we're counting on that, the whole Ed Ambassador program. We believe that this address never lose. So we're planning on the full demotion of everyone and the full cancellation of the program.
Okay.
And we are trying to throw the new foundation of a better one, improved by the experience we got from trying to do that for 3 weeks, from all the discussion we had on the forum and everywhere, and yeah, trying to get the consensus of the community about that.
Okay, gotcha. So the remainders are in favor of Ref 1195 or accepting of Ref 1195, which will wipe the entire program from the chain. Lucy, what's going on?
Yeah. So what's going to happen is Don Diego is going to get kicked in 3 days. Then we're all going to get kicked next Thursday. So we'll all be in the same boat. And then the program will be destroyed 7 days after that. So 1197 will pass, and then 1195 will pass 7 days after it, as it stands now, and that will kick the program. As Sean just said, everybody who's working on something improved, not new, but improved, is part of the ambassador program. So that's how I think we see Don Diego in 2 days' time. It will be no different then than it is now. He won't be getting a paused salary or anything. So we're all going to be in the same boat. So what we're doing is we've given ourselves a deadline of all being kicked next week, so that we have something to work diligently towards. We're no longer leavers, remainers, kicked, unkicked. We're a group of 14 now that are working solidly towards this, but we're still, and 6 of those people were in Ref 1186, but we are keeping all of our communication and all of our meetings, etc., with the whole group that remains. So the Mexican Collective, for example, have not been very vocal about joining yet, or up until yesterday, but now they've seen this going on, they've kind of given some indications they would like to be a part of it. So we're very open to that. We've kicked off our working groups, and we have taken a lot of what Sean and everybody else, you'll see that I've collated everything on the forum post that was posted yesterday. So that's our kind of that's our point of source of truth. So and updates to what's happening. So yeah, please keep the feedback coming. We will keep updating you. We have a Twitter space tomorrow at 1300 UTC, which Tommy will be leading, and I hope Limo. And then we hope that you'll let us on AAG on Monday as well, and we'll do a Twitter space on Tuesday. And then we'd like to see where we are this time next week. None of us will be ambassadors, but we should have something that you've all helped create to take a look at.
Okay, so just to be clear here, 6 of the original 10, what we called remainders, are still working together. You've brought on 8 more people. Are those all from the head ambassador program, or are we now collecting people outside as well?
No. As in like the 10 that tried to kick, and the 10 that tried to kick, the 6 of those who were named as to leave in 1186 have come together with 8 of those who posted ref 1186.
Oh, so 6 of the ones who are going to get kicked have come to join 8 of the remainders.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then obviously 6 and Mario have resigned. Angie is supporting, but very much focused on .play, but is supporting us and giving feedback and input. And then the Mexican collective, Georgie and Zoe, are kind of hanging back for now, but involved in everything that's happening, seeing everything that's happening. And we hope that they're going to be impressed and jump back in at some point.
Now, is Abdul be a member of this 14?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll get to that in a second. Lorena.
Yes, only one thing that we are focused now, not in the collective, but in have a good program, okay? Good ambassador program to present to the community, and the community should decide if the program that we create is according what they need. Okay, that is the idea. Separate collective and separate the program, okay, and ambassadors. So this is the program. We are working on the program.
Okay, yeah, we got it. Yeah, Tommy.
Yeah, so I think there is an internal agreement that basically we all assume that we're all going to get removed from the program. And so what we put together is basically the people that are here working to provide continuity to the program. So we have split up into a few different working groups now to get the different components of the program worked out, to bring something on the way that can follow up the system that is now going out and provide like an on-ramp for the new system. I would like to share a little bit from the working group that I'm on, together with Lorena and Appleby, and together we also had William and Max on the call. And the question we've been asking is, and there was also a lot of feedback, for example, from Sean, Basti, all the forum threads where people participated. And so we're trying to look at the feedback and look at how would we conceptualize the program if we had a blank canvas, if there is no referendum for it, basically a blank canvas. So, and the basic question we have to ask is, how do we want to see an ambassador in Polkadot? And some of the conversations we're having is to basically agree that everyone should feel able to be an ambassador for Polkadot, no matter if you're inside or outside of the program, right? So the minimum thing that the program has to provide is not stand in the way of you being an ambassador for Polkadot. So instead, we have to ask the question, what is the thing that it can provide for people that are not even inside the program? And so a lot of that is that it can provide free education for people, pull together all the resources that are already here, pull them together and provide a free educational portal. And then if you decide to become a part of the program, the experience should only get better for you. So that can be perks like being part of a community of like-minded people, getting more specialized training in certain aspects, and so on. And what we can get from that is that we can make sure that people get better in community building, in outreach, in educating others, right? And when we can achieve that, we can now think about like what type do we want to give people if they want to get the foot in the door by maybe doing business development or introducing themselves to other places, right? And then it should not be so much about the ranks where you say, I have to strive for the highest ranks or just that I have a fancy title to introduce myself, but rather we have to consider that there is people working inside the program, working to make the life of other ambassadors better so that they can go out into the world. And then the ambassadors that go out into the world, they should have like the opportunity to just be equipped with good knowledge, with a good network, and then maybe like have an ambassador for gaming, have an ambassador for business development, have an ambassador for LATAM or I don't know, Hungary or whatever, right? So I think coming to those questions first is important, because right now in Twitter, last point, in Twitter, I see this like I shared some of these thoughts today on Twitter, and then people were saying, yeah, but what about the salary? What about head ambassadors? And so I think it's really important right now to take a step back and think about what does the role actually consist of, and how do we want to structure the whole flow of the program. And then when we have all of that, we should talk about salaries last, because then it will be much easier, because we know like what work do we want to pay for and what work is paid otherwise, because business development, you get a commission or something, right? So this is just my perspective, but a lot of the conversations right now about how do we like really conceptualize the program.
Batman.
Yeah, so I think Tommy covered most of what I was going to say, but it's just piggybacking off of him. I think there's still a lot of emphasis on the program itself rather than what it's trying to achieve or what it should strive to achieve, right? Like, I don't understand why do we need sort of this structure in place instead of just empowering people to just go ahead and ask for tips for work they have done, right? Like, what is the goal of an ambassador here? For example, like when I think of a brand ambassador, right? I think of somebody who's famous and has a really large audience, right? Like that could be role of, say, a brand ambassador, right? Similar to that, maybe you have some ambassadors who are helping onboard people, like Tommy said, like making it easier for people to contribute onto Polkadot, right? But these are all things that you can make a tip for and get paid for it. I'm sorry, maybe I'm dumb. I simply do not understand the need for this this collective of like 10, 14 different people coming together just to have an organization for the sake of it.
Yeah, nice point, Andre. Muted, my man.
You're right, Batman. Everything that the new program will be doing should be doable on OpenGov. The idea is now, should we want to force the voters to vote on like 300 or 400 more ref per year? Or can we find a more efficient way of doing the same thing, basically, but in a more fluid way? Like maybe if I'm an ecosystem agent in some part of the world, I don't want to wait 28 days to see if I will be paid for something. So like, for example, the whole tip culture could be brought at a way more local level, and just making sure that you have one or two coordinators, making sure that there are no abuse, you know. But at some point, if we agree that we should pay 100 dot there, 100 dot there, maybe we should not ask OpenGov every time to do that, because it will either end up in voters fatigue or in people never looking at those tip proposals. So what Abdul B deal is really interesting, and we'll see how many people will actually check the report and see if it was worth what he is asking. But at least for me, I'm not talking for the group right now, I believe that the opportunity of the ambassador program is to create something more efficient than if it was done through OpenGov, while relieving OpenGov from like 500 solicitation a year for like 100 dot payments. So yeah, at some point there is a balance to find that goes with what we said today, like empowering communities, letting anyone become ambassador if they want to. But at the same time, we like 1186 was done because of Web2 bureaucracy, and we want to avoid entering in a Web3 bureaucracy also. You know, that's the two main risks of the program, at least for me.
Yeah, Lucy. Muted.
I'm just going to say a couple of things. One of them was actually what Sean has said. So I think there's one, as somebody who has been, and I said this before, kind of bouncing around the ecosystem for 6 months, it can be very strange to say, you know, I just bounce around the ecosystem and do things here and there. So having, you know, more of a structure also, as was being spoken about before, with the tipping culture, is it does give people a boost, and yes, it does make them feel part of the community. But if every single piece of work you did, you were going to have to put in for a tip and go through this process, that's also, that could have the opposite effect. The other thing is, and we will have more to share on this, but we are honing in around what Gavin said, which was part of Six's BD report, which I'm sure you've all read. This idea of onboarding 1 million people into the Polkadot citizenship, and having 10,000 meetups a month. That is not an undertaking that can happen without a pretty solid structure around it. So without giving too much away, because we're working through these ideas and taking everything that all of you are saying on board, I can promise that we are stripping away every piece of bureaucracy we possibly can, trying to not create something that has any hierarchy, but something that can deliver on a huge scale, which does take some organization. So yeah, see what you're saying about lots of people can do lots of different things, but if we want to make a huge impact by doing these small things, somebody has to coordinate it and provide all the resources, the education, the format, etc., to help people do it quickly and easily, and kind of cut and paste. Yeah.
All right. And with the crown thrust upon his head, Limo, the first head ambassador, has something to say.
Hey, yes, so first of all, I do believe that it needed some changes, right? As much as some people on various Telegram chats might complain, this will all be put up to a vote, and then people will vote on it, right? It's not some grand scheme. It will be a vote that people vote on, right? So anybody that's footing that is being very dishonest to you and is trying to cause drama. I believe the focus of the ambassador program needs to be a place where community members can go to be part of this social network to help them do cool shit in the ecosystem and get rewarded for it, right? Obviously, there's a lot of ideas floating about on how that will actually look. We need to bring, as I know Sean says, like good vibes to the ecosystem. Like if you want to join the Polkadot community now, it's a total shit show. Like, do you join the unofficial chat on Telegram and it's just full of people like footing and scams and stuff? You might join the Discord, which I think is the best place, but it's not really this like tight-knit community like the way like Chaos DAO is, or like Lenexus now, or like the Koos, right? Like even like the Koos is more active than the Polkadot Discord, really. Like we need to change that, and the ambassador program should be the place that you join if you want to be part of the Polkadot community and meet other active people in the ecosystem, learn together, and just do like cool shit together, right? And it needs to be easy for people to get onboarded and start to get involved, right? Like this is how it should be. It should focus less on a couple of people doing something and focus more on like growing the community and getting loads of people involved in Polkadot, right?
Okay, nice vision.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andre.
I will just rebound on what you said, Limo, with a concrete example. OpenGov is pretty frightening for people, you know? Going to OpenGov is something, and it's not for anyone. And also there's some asymmetry information in our ecosystem, you know? So I just witnessed that with the community I created, Linux, which is dedicated to the French-speaking community. And like there was a lot of identified French people in the community, very vocal ones. and by just gathering them all together in the same place, you know, and providing them maybe with the bit of information they were lacking. This group of people like actually taking charge their own wishes for OpenGov, you know, and they became the change they wanted to be. And they also had a way more accessible, a way more easy access to the kind of information that actually triggered their involvement. And it's way more easy to do that in a chat group, you know, with your friends than going to OpenGov or proving that you are worth of a tip or something like that. Like there is a whole level of involvement that people are not making the leap of faith, you know, because they're afraid. And I guess that those local community will help actually those people trust themselves and be more and more involved. So that's why it's not about structuring or feeling entitled. It's about deploying a framework that will enable that will push that and empower people into taking an OpenGov with their own hands and dealing with it.
All right, Michael, what do you make of all this over there?
Yeah, so to take off my Mandala hat for a second and put on my Republic hat. So we're a blockchain agnostic community and ecosystem. Like we run quite a large DAO, and our business model was all based around engaging with the different types of ambassador programs from all different ecosystems. And so I've seen them all like intimately from all different ecosystems.